Hello and welcome to the Comic-spiracy episode 563 for the week of Tuesday, October 25th, 2022. My name is Ryan Higgins. Who's here this week with me?
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
And Charlie.
Whoa, not quite. Close. And
Kevin.
Charlie.
You know he's not ever going to do it right.
Who is that? Who is that spoke last?
Kevin.
What's your name? What's your name?
The award-winning Tobias.
Ah! Someone knows.
Toby. That's Toby.
Hello.
I don't know why he's so adamant against not saying his name.
Well, I'm just giving other people more credit.
We're here. Well, as of it's like 6 hours ago, the idea here was to talk about Black Adam. We're also going to talk about We're obviously going to talk about Black Adam. We got one other thing to talk about too. Related. Breaking news. But we will
Not broken here, but breaking news.
We will save that for later. We're going to talk about Black Adam. We're going to do that. We're going to start like we always do with movies. Impressions. Casual, light, no spoiler, no real spoilers. Although The Rock spoiled the entire movie, so like that's fine. And then we'll get into some nitty gritty. Tell what we liked, what we didn't like, and then talk the plot a little bit. And then post credit scene. Obviously like to save that stuff for the end. Although I'm sure we'll filter that in throughout it in some fashion. And then, we got some stuff to talk about the DC Universe movies in general. Some big news as of today. So let's start. Let's pull out the old random number. What are you gonna roll a D4, Brock?
I mean, I don't fucking have one right away.
How does this work? We're not even sitting in a circle. How do you number generate and which?
I'm 1, Brock's 2, Kevin's 3, and you're 4. It's just an order of intro. And number is 2. Brock,
son of
that's you.
I gotta carry this.
You're not carrying it. You're starting it. You're getting it out of the way.
He didn't tell you that the number draw it's a one-man review show, so we're all going to peace out.
Yeah.
I do have to say, I also this has become more common because we obviously are not usually going to the movies together to see stuff. This has become a little bit more frequent. I actually have no idea what anyone's review of this podcast is. I think I know. I have my thoughts, which I will confirm or deny after we talk.
Well, then maybe
Kevin, you got a great poker face there.
Maybe you should go first, Ryan.
Well, do you guys know what each other thinks? Because I have no idea. I
know everything.
Okay.
I think Toby and I have talked about it, but I don't know anything else.
Oh,
okay. I made a post about it. So.
I actually forgot we did that. Never mind. I do know something.
Well, I want to hear Brock's take. Brock, give us a couple minutes. No spoilers.
No spoilers. So my impression of Black
Adam. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Well,
rank it, review it.
I was pleasantly surprised that I was able to get a ticket at 10 o'clock on a Saturday, but I was also even more pleasantly surprised to actually enjoy the movie with Tobias.
Yes. Absolutely.
Toby, apparently not planned, ended up watching it at the same theater at the same time, in the same row. Even that was bonkers. And I believe
back row, like where all the real fans sit. Back row.
Oh no, those were long gone. I think Toby stayed awake for most of the film.
I stayed awake for all of it except for one part.
Okay.
This actually only because we'll talk box office in a little bit. I'm curious how busy the theater was. Like what day you saw it and how busy the theater was. So let me know. Like
it was okay busy.
Rough.
I mean, it was like half full.
Because we had people on the forum that were like, we were the only people in the entire theater on opening night.
They were joking.
I don't know.
I thought they were just joking because they were.
I saw a few other people online post similar things, but I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Well, so for us, I mean, most of the top section was sold out. There was nobody below us in that bottom area. The movie theater itself was kind of dead, but that was late on a Saturday, so I kind of expected that. But yeah, my overall impression of Black Adam was I liked it. It was fine. Like. It was a good, solid movie. I thought it tackled kind of the anti-hero idea very well. You kind of builds it into it builds it up. It's not just like an automatic dump thing. Like the character Black Adam goes through like a development and stuff. So I enjoyed it. I had a couple nitpicks, but then I realized like, oh yeah, I have to remember something from, Marvel family lore. So, there's Shazam family lore. So it's like, oh, okay, now that I get it. Like, but no, overall, I thought it was fun, engaging, action packed. Like the cast did an amazing job. What was it like record breaking? Like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. No, but it was solid.
There is I had actually forgot some of the more modern Black Adam origin stuff when we went to go see it. So I had kind of it's like, oh no, that's different. And then I remembered, oh, that's actually in the New 52 version.
Yeah,
so we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I think I was introduced to Black Adam through New 52. So I had more of an understanding of that origin of the character, and then how it branched off after that. But yeah, no, I thought it was really well done. I enjoyed it. The jab
is the hierarchy of power in the DC universe changed, Brock?
Has the hierarchy and the power? Well, I thought we were waiting till later for that discussion.
No, I mean just has the hierarchy of power changed in the DC universe? That's the Rock's line.
Literally or figuratively?
What? Meaning, did you like it or not?
I just said I liked it. Like,
okay.
I mean, you're asking me this on the day that news breaks that DC actually is like, I don't know, grabbing their balls and doing something.
We'll get to it. Kevin,
do I hear someone like sighing and moaning in the background?
That is my wonderful dog Happy. She is not happy. She's not happy about something.
I thought that was Kevin in pain. Like, I was like, damn, dude.
Kevin, before you go, you had mentioned something to me when I saw you over the weekend that I believe you said if the JSA were not in this movie, you would not even see it. You would have zero interest. A movie about Black Adam is not something you're interested in at all.
Yes, true.
Why? Black Adam is like,
okay,
of a lot of villains.
Okay,
I don't know. I'll put you on the spot here, but just in your talk, I'd like to hear you talk about that. Only because
I'll say this: what I was touching on with you was the circumstance for me to go to a theater to watch this, not watch it at all. Go to a theater. It had to line up exactly to my most convenient day and showtime, and it did. I'm interested in Black Adam in the context of a Shazam villain. It would be if they announced we're making a solo Deathstroke movie or a Lex Luthor movie or that Penguin HBO Max series, if that's still happening. Like, I like those characters in the context as villains for the superheroes, not on their own. So,
I mean, I guess I could see that, but Black Adam, I feel like, is a little bit different just because of he definitely in the comics too, right? In the modern day,
in the modern day, the classic Black Adam is just evil.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's a bit of a different take. I've said that him and Dr. Doom to me kind of have a similar tone of, they're not just a straight villain. They're both kind of rulers of their particular area, particular land. The people love them. The outside world is terrified of them and fears them. They're not good guys, but are they the classic or the modern Dr. Doom, of course, the original Dr. Doom delved into some of this, but he was a little bit more, it was a little simpler time, but Doom's been a longer, nuanced villain.
Ironically,
than Black Adam.
I would enthusiastically be showing up at a solo Dr. Doom movie.
But go ahead. Give me your talk.
I wish I could come in with a flaming hot take here, but it was fine. I can't imagine anybody loving this or hating it. It was fine. I think for the sake of this short capsule review, to give you my number one criticism of the movie, my number one problem. So there's a lot of shit going on. Things are blowing up, powers, people being punched and killed and all this. A lot of things are crossing your eyeballs for those 2 hours. And I couldn't put my finger on it as I'm sitting there, why I was so unengaged in it. Like why I just was just kind of lukewarm the whole time. And then I realized after the movie was over, it's because Black Adam was not a character. He was a costume and some powers. But the first question for drama, whether it's a superhero movie, a Shakespeare comedy, a Greek tragedy, is who wants what and what is the obstacle in the way of them getting it? This character didn't want anything. There was no journey. He was attacked and he defended himself, and he was attacked again and he defended himself, and he was attacked again and defended himself, and then finally had a chance to kill that king. But for most of the movie, he's just a reactive protagonist, which is just not interesting in this reviewer's opinion. The JSA wanted something. The other people who wanted the crown, all the sub-characters, that's fine. But I'm saying there's a vacuum at the center of it, and just The Rock smirking, scowling, raising an eyebrow, and doing shit isn't enough to paper over that narratively for this reviewer. So I thought it was fine. I would never, ever watch it again. The post-credit scene was by 1,000 light years my favorite part of the whole movie. It was cool to see some of those JSA characters. I just didn't necessarily like, I got to watch spoilers here, how they were portrayed in the story, not their powers. Their role in the narrative is what I'm specifically talking about, and that's all I can say for right now. Post-credit scene, 2 huge thumbs up. Movie, thumb firmly sideways, maybe slightly downward, but kind of in the middle.
I'm just imagining a gladiator gif.
Yeah,
you're the emperor.
If I was the emperor on this, everybody just kind of be standing there.
Toby,
Yeah.
let's hear it. You're a big Rock fan.
Yeah.
You love The Rock. What do you think?
Well, my first clue should have been when I asked you what you thought about the movie, and you said you liked it. That should have been my first clue. Yeah, I'm a big fan of The Rock, and I like actually a lot of action movies, and I'm not a big fan of this movie at all. I thought there were some interesting ideas, which we'll, I'm sure, expand on later. But
Yeah.
I would have done with half the action and half more story, personally. So, yeah, we could go into further into details, but yeah, I can leave it there.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, and I'm probably somewhere in the range of Brock. I liked it. It's far from the best movie I've ever seen in my life. I have a couple issues with it, really, but
I mean, the real thing is it's way better than Thor Ragnarok and Thor: Love and Thunder.
oh,
and
yeah, of course.
Guardians.
Yeah,
Iron Man 3.
Christian,
So here's-
hey, dude, I did not like Love and Thunder at all. Christian Bale is better than anything in this movie.
Christian Bale's good. Yeah.
And
So
even the end
here's-
credit scene.
Christian Bale in Love and Thunder is better than anything in this movie.
Even the end credit scene.
Refer to my previous 2 sentences.
So here is what I when the movie ended, I actually turned to Leanne and I was like, "You hated that, huh?" And she was like, "No, I actually thought it was all right." And that kind of surprised me. And I could feel when I'm watching the movie. So critics, you said you couldn't picture anyone hating this. Critics hated it.
I just don't know
Right.
what there is that would get you hot and bothered.
Some of the reviews were like 0 out of 5, right? Like 0 out of 5 stars. That like I'm not sure, but I think a lot of people are just very tired of superhero stuff, right? I think a lot of reviewers are very tired of this stuff. To me, when I was watching it, I assumed, whoa, that is a very low helicopter. I don't know if you can hear that. We're getting buzzed here.
Yeah, stop selling drugs, Ryan.
I'm expecting someone to fucking rappel through my ceiling here any second now.
Yeah, man. Drugs are bad.
Yeah, that is incredibly loud. Wow. Okay.
I
I'm sorry if you
can't
guys can
hear
hear that
anything.
on the recording.
I
Okay.
can't hear
Okay.
anything.
I'm like really concerned here. Okay, anyway, sorry. It's very distracting. I expected the reviews from fans to be just vicious and horrible because I think the plot is fairly weak at the end of the day. It's just a fun, big superhero movie. And it doesn't have, it maybe has a little bit of the charm of the Marvel stuff, but it's not trying to copy it. It has people killing people. You know, Black Adam obviously is killing people left and right.
Well,
So
I guess it's Marvel now, but it was like I felt like the opening scene was copying Deadpool a lot. In just like
the flashback?
No, not the flashback.
Kande?
No. The first action scene in the beginning when we're first introduced to him.
Copying Deadpool?
Yeah,
when he's killing all the guards?
When he's killing all those guys outside the mountain. It's like slowing it down. It's fine.
That's fine. But what I thought the reason people were going to actually dislike it more, because the reviews from the fans is actually very positive, which is pretty rare for a DC thing. It did what I've wanted more movies to do. It's superheroes start to finish using their superpowers nonstop, code names, the whole 9 yards. Too many. It kind of didn't start this way, but I find too many of the movies get very, especially TV shows, but the movies are a little more cautious of code names, costumes, powers. This did not hold back any of that. And that's what I probably mostly appreciated in the movie, because it was like, no, we're a superhero movie. It does have the fault of, Dr. Fate had to take his helmet off every time he spoke, but that's the movies. What are you gonna do? But it felt like a comic book. It felt like it didn't go into like dramatic, endless backstories to everyone. Everyone had their powers and their codenames, and yeah, the plot was fairly simple. And I'll get into my absolute least favorite part of the movie, which I'm sure you can all guess. But it was just a fun time. Like, I'm okay if this is what The Rock wants to do. I don't need everything to be the Batman. I don't need everything to be Infinity War. I like just fun adventure action movies. Yeah, this stuff I would have fixed in it. This problems with it, but it's yeah. I thought it was fun. Post credit stuff we could deal with later. I don't even want to talk about that yet. But just seeing the JSA, I'll kind of disagree with you on that, Kevin. I thought they were perfect. All of them. I want
the characters.
I want that.
I'm talking about the story, their role in the story, not how they were presented.
Oh, yeah. No, as character wise, yeah, they were perfect. And again, we didn't get endless origins just drawn out forever. The audience can figure it out. Whatever they could deal with. If Hawkman gets in a movie, they can deal more with that later. But yeah, I mean, far from my favorite. I don't think it's excellent cinema or anything like that. But that was a really fun movie.
I have to add though, I watched the movie with two normies.
Yeah.
And they were like, what the fuck is going on? Who the fuck is this wing guy? And why the fuck do we give a shit? And like, they were like thoroughly confused. They were like, fuck this movie.
Now, I will say this. This is the first Carter Hall I've been like, this is Carter Hall. Like, he's just a no-nonsense getting shit done, just, Hawkman.
Yeah.
Like, just, like, fists and mace first, ask questions later kind of Hawkman. So
well, let's we can
the redesign of that Fate helmet was uncalled for. Come on, Ryan, back me up on this.
What?
It didn't have eyes. There were no eye holes.
Yeah,
come on, that design is perfect in comics. Perfect.
DC has to keep their track record of not being able to do eyes properly. Point in case, Wonder Woman. All they had to do was black out his eyes and make him red, and it would have been perfect at the end. But no, we had to have normal eyes behind that helmet, and then now they don't even give us eyes in a helmet.
Yeah, we can get into the get into plot and characters and everything like that here. So full spoilers going forward. I mean, I think we maybe split between like and medium to dislike. Hey, Toby, are you like hated, or are you like it's just not great? It's just kind of whatever. Like, do you feel like you're on Kevin's level, or are you like worse? Because I want to hear some of your more specifics.
I might be worse than Kevin.
Okay.
Like
I'll tell you. We'll start with the bad. We'll start with the bad first, and then we'll say what we liked about it too, and then we can do like post credit stuff. Can't play with that, Happy.
That we can hear.
Don't throw it for her.
I'll take it as soon as she.
The kid. Obviously, the kid was the worst part of the movie. Everything involving the kid, every single scene he was in.
You just hate
every single scene he was in, everything he did. I don't. So in the comics, right? What this is drawing from, part of New 52, part of 52, right? The 52 comic series. Ariana? Is that her name? I think it's her name.
Iris?
Ariana? Isis? What the hell's her name?
I don't remember.
Do you think I'd have a list here? No, not Ariana Grande. Adriana. Sorry, Adriana. In the comics, she's obviously it's a different name from the TV show, but she is Isis. So she becomes the superhero Isis. Her, again, in the comics, it's her brother. In the movie, it's her son, but her son becomes Osiris, right? He's eaten by an alligator too. That's pretty great. But so same characters, right? Same, very similar situation, similar kind of a bit of a setup. She's got like the necklace and stuff like that, right? So if you watch Legends of Tomorrow, she is Zari, right? That's who that character is.
Mm.
So I don't know what else they could have done. I get the mirror of the kid is supposed to be Black Adam's kid, but still, he was the worst part of the movie. Like, without question, every scene he was in was cringy. But it's a kid actor in a superhero movie, so yeah, odds are they're going to be terrible. Let's just go in the order we went. Brock, stuff you didn't like. Give me a couple things you didn't like, and then I'll hear Kevin. Then I want to get to Toby. I want to hear Toby's. Like, I want to get to the meat of Toby's problems. I want to hear it. So
I think
if you got one or two things you didn't like, let me know.
I think for me, one of the things I did not like in the film, and like when I saw it happening, I literally had a theme song running through my head, and that was like the second we go to the exterior of Hawkman's mansion, all I could hear in the back of my head was and then of course they have the
very much like the X-Men.
Yeah, it's like, oh god, like 3 of your characters can fly, or at least move distances, and 1 can't. Where you need a plane for the one that can't. I think that was just a little odd for me. And then
I love the jet though. I love. Yeah, it's like their version of the Javelin, right? But I liked that. It was cool stuff.
I mean, I would have liked a little bit more kind of JSA background, like maybe just a bit more of kind of why those characters are there, why specifically they're picked. I didn't need like little snippets of introduction, like origin story stuff, but just like we got enough of it. But I think like, oh look, this is an indestructible ship. Cool, thanks. And then we just toss it around for most of the movie. But yeah, I think that like that was where I had a weakness, and I think the not remembering the Shazam lore when it comes to like where the powers come from, and that moment where Black Adam wakes up after being knocked out and he's speaking perfect English.
It's the
wisdom
it's the knowledge of.
No, it's the wisdom.
What Shazam's people's called?
Shazam or the Egyptian gods?
Black Adams. Yeah, sorry. What are Black Adams?
That's a tough trivia question. I think that was a Nelson Bridwell invention, if I'm remembering right. is somebody, it's Marty Pascal, somebody like that made up those, because those, if the premise is,
it's the wisdom of Zehuti,
Yeah.
right? Because it's stamina of Shu, swiftness of Oris, strength of Amon, wisdom of Zehuli, power of Aten, and the courage of Mehen. Because it's all more Egyptian based.
Yeah.
So like I kind of forgot that was part of that whole like thing, and then I realized, oh wait, no, he has that wisdom thing from whatever. But yeah, I mean
that is a flaw in the movie that it doesn't explain that. But I mean, we know. I'm not saying that's a good way to have a movie. They should have.
Well, I asked some people on Sunday who seemed not to have too much Black Adam knowledge, or like didn't have really too much Black Adam knowledge. And I said, what was one of the problems you had in the movie? And the girl was like, well, he was speaking perfect English after speaking all of that stuff. And I'm like, yep. See, like, it's one of those things where it's just like, because then they go into that whole sarcasm thing, and it's kind of just.
Yeah, he should have started speaking Kendaki, and then it just sort of just becomes English, with the knowledge, right? Like he learns it very quickly or something like that. Sure.
But I mean, I think one thing I didn't like was necessarily that. One last thing was, I think the Justice Society was too. Should have been one more member. I felt like it was like, oh look, we have a pair of friends and then a pair of something else. And like it didn't really feel like there was, but I couldn't really go, well, who would be another good powerhouse to take down Black Adam from the Justice Society, right?
Yeah, there's enough characters in the movie. I think 4 is fine.
So, but yeah.
Kevin, hit me up with a couple of your complaints. And we'll get to the love soon. We'll get to the love soon.
Yeah. I mean, the worst, most excruciating scene for me comes later in the movie, so I'll skip that for now. But a couple of the general.
No, that's fine.
No, but I mean, I was giving more of like, I thought you were looking for more of the overview complaints rather than specific drill downs.
No. Anything.
Well, I think first off, I don't like the JSA being portrayed as stooges of Amanda Waller and Checkmate, or I don't even know what it is at this point. So when the character wakes up, he hasn't committed any crimes. He hasn't done anything. It's just a guy with powers. Okay, go capture him. And yes, of course, we all want the.
He didn't kill a shitload of people before they got there.
Oh, the mercenaries who have taken over this country.
I'm just saying. But
I'm saying those are bad guys, right?
Yeah.
So I like how they don't care about the plight of this, let's call it generic Middle Eastern nation, because it's really, there's no thought put into making it a real place. It's just looks like a backlot set.
Hey, it's Kahndaq.
I know. I'm saying in the movie, apparently that country being taken over by Black Ops mercenaries doesn't rate anybody's interest until there's a superhero there, and then we got to send in. I just don't like.
I mean, that sounds accurate to me. Really, isn't that every Middle Eastern country
isn't
right
that
now?
Every reaction Amanda Waller has had ever.
But aren't we looking for something that's not the world we're living in? Isn't that why we go to the movies?
Well, that's the point, right? I mean, and so you said like Black Adam doesn't really do anything, but I think I disagree with that.
Things he doesn't want anything. There's no character journey.
No, I disagree with that, because at the beginning, because the whole idea is that the country's been taken over, and their whole problem is this just keeps happening. Nobody gives a fuck. They only care about us now that there's a superhero here. And Black Adam's like, I've been gone for 5,000 years and nothing's changed. I can do something about this, right? Not immediately, but that's his sort of path through the movie, right? I mean, that's where he goes with that. So, but go ahead. So,
I'm not criticizing the actors, the JSA, the powers, anything like that. It looked good. I'm saying I just didn't like the way they were used in the story. Kahndaq is a whole other topic. I mean, I don't want the movie to stop for a treatise on geopolitics. I'm not suggesting that, but I'm saying subtract a 10-minute action sequence and put 10 minutes into making that a place where we would care about why these people would want this. He's essentially a tyrant. I mean, they don't know him. He's been dead for 5,000 years. It's not like he was around a year ago and they're glad to have him back. Like, show us a country that would embrace this strong man and want this guy. And again, you don't have to stop the movie and make it a 60 minutes episode. Just a couple of scenes, you could get it done. But all right, Ryan, here we go. The worst scene, the most excruciating, terrible scene in the movie. Like, just absolute agony for me to sit through and to even think and talk about, is when they send him to that undersea prison and he escapes. Awful.
just
So, to be clear, this is the non-powered Black Adam who has been in this suspended animation with a breathing tube down his throat, so, i.e., for those who haven't had it, you can't inhale. That's the point of it. Fighting trained commandos, unarmed, beating them all, escaping this base, swimming from the bottom of the Arctic Ocean, no wetsuit, no breathing apparatus, nothing, swimming to the surface, and then saying Shazam. The man would be incapacitated and or dead. And yes, we have to make leaps of logic. I understand.
He had a little bit of that Black Adam power.
That was the least realistic scene in the entire movie. I would have believed any of the rest of those scenes were from a true story before I bought that scene. It was awful. Awful.
I want to go back to you about caring, because Leanne brought this up when we were watching it. And she said one of her problems was the info dump at the beginning, where they basically do like the whole flashback to Kandak, and they're going through all this stuff. And I actually agree with this. They mentioned that what's her name? Adriana is a teacher, right? But they never actually show that.
Right.
Like, she says something. Leanne's comment was, why not have her explain the history of Black Adam or the Champion or whatever, and then
we see her
explain the whole history of Kandak being, like, controlled and taken over, right? And like, it's constantly being used and abused. So like, you get some background, right? I mean, it feels like they mentioned she's a teacher, but they didn't actually do anything with that. So it feels a little bit lost. Like, she would have been the perfect person to explain not only the Champion and what happened, but also the history of Kandak and
that would be great.
Its people and how you got here. So
it's called Kandak.
Totally agree.
It could be anonymous Middle Eastern town from an episode of Alias, from a Chuck Norris movie in the 80s. There's just nothing there. It's so lazy and so generic when you could have done something really interesting as a backdrop to all this fighting. Instead, it's just a set to stage fights. And they don't care or didn't have the time or didn't think it would matter to the audience to do anything else with it. I think it's a shame.
I also like how the citizens would disappear when there's big fights, but they would reappear when they're during a break on fighting.
Okay, I'm handing it off to Toby.
Toby, let's hear it, baby. Let's hear it. What do you got?
Well, Kevin took quite a few of them. So
sorry.
No, it's all right. Look, full disclosure, I don't know Black Adam very well. I don't know Shazam really well. My favorite Shazam book was, I think, the Jeff Smith who wrote it, the
Monster Society.
Yeah, I really, really like that one. But beyond that, I don't really know those two characters really well. And in fact, and I'm sorry, Kevin, I was never a big Shazam fan, ever. I never liked it when he showed up in cartoons. I know he's a classic character. I never liked it when he showed up in the books. Just not a character I like. Nothing against the character, just not something that was up my alley. I did somewhat enjoy the movie that came out, the Shazam movie, and I knew The Rock really wanted to do Black Adam, so cool, and I was of course hyped for it because I really liked The Rock. So going into that, I thought this was the time Rock was actually going to act. So I for once thought like he is actually going to be Black Adam. He is going to like speak those languages and make the Rock, what makes the Rock Rock, is not going to be in this movie, or at least not till the very end. But like Kevin said, like a couple of minutes in, he's in perfect English and he's cracking jokes, and I'm like, didn't really feel that. And also, the JSA being partially X-Men, partially being Amanda's bitch, didn't really enjoy that either. I would have almost preferred if Amanda would have sent some C-level Suicide Squad members for Black Adam just to kill, right? And then you could send in the JSA and go, you fucked shit up. Now we're here for you. I didn't really like that they were there going, hey, the first thing we're going to do is negotiate your surrender. If I was Black Adam, I'd be like, who the fuck are you guys, right? So that makes, I just, like, come on. What I thought was most interesting, though, about the whole movie was the citizens kind of siding with Black Adam to go, we got a hero of our own now, and the JSA look kind of like the weird American invaders going, we're the good guys. You guys shouldn't follow him. And they're like, fuck you, this is our hero. I thought that was the most interesting thing about the movie, and I felt they should have dwelled into that big time. But they didn't, because they could have made it really interesting, because even though the JSA thought of themselves as the good guys, they could have started messing with the citizens and Black Adam kind of like, no, this is my town. You could have had a really cool, bad guy vision, or like his version of things story, which, makes it more understandable, and I would have enjoyed that a lot more. Yeah. Also, Council of Wizards, maybe it's my lack of knowledge. Like, I kind of got glossed over, and I was just kind of like, wait, what happened there? Also, I'm not a big fan of comic books or actual comics being in these comic book movies, if that makes sense. I don't know. It takes me a little out of it. I was on
the Rebirth comics and
that's minor, right? That's not. I mean, that's super minor. But that his full room is full of like DC stuff. Like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that stuff. I almost prefer if it was made up heroes, or if they did other like versions of them. But yeah,
I mean, it's their equivalent of having like Toby posters or something. Like, yeah, you're fine. This the heroes of their world. I did like that they actually.
I just like that's a personal thing, right? I mean, that's just personally. I don't like it when they do that. I mean, in Miss Marvel, when she was all about Captain Marvel, I understand it. It's not really. I don't know. It takes me out of it. Like when I see actual swag that you could get in real life, and they have it in the shows. I don't know. It just feels weird.
I thought it was very funny when they had the Superman poster, and he shoots the head off of it. It's like, oh, here we go, headless Superman again. I'm sure that was very tongue in cheek.
Yeah. I thought there could have been some really, really interesting things in this movie, and I think they chose to do really, really cool action scenes, which are really cool, over having more story, and I think that's where he lost me.
Well, I don't disagree with that. I think they give you the backbone of it, but they don't really give you. They could have pushed the narrative of the invading Westerners, the struggle of the people. Yes, they could have pushed that way more.
That would have been way more interesting to me than anything in the movie. And I thought with Black Adam, again, look, full disclosure, I don't know his history that well, but I thought that would make so much more sense with him being there and taking the citizen side. With the JSA showing up and kind of go, hey, no, you listen to us.
They do. I mean, that does happen.
Yeah, I know, but I think they should lean into that way more than they did. Yeah. Then he going well, this is just like how it used to be. Fuck you guys, right? So,
yeah. I mean, like I said, I think you get the basis for it, but not. They don't expand on it past a very surface level.
Yeah.
They say it, but they don't really expand on it.
I was also thinking about it. I was thinking, if I was 13, would I like this movie? Because maybe I'm too old, right? Right? Because I was like, I rewatched some of the movies back then, and I'm like, okay, this probably wasn't as good as I thought it was, but I still enjoy them. So I don't know, maybe it was 13. This would have been the craziest movie of all time, right? So I don't know anymore now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're just looking for something a little bit.
I want something a little more meaty.
A little meatier. Yeah. Which again, I totally agree. I'm sure the balance of
Oh, and
serious
also,
filmmaking and heavy stories versus big superhero action and laugh-a-minute jokes. They're like, we've got a audience and money versus film quality. These things don't always go hand in hand, right?
look, I think the comics were cringe, but this scene, I mean, I know Kevin has his pick, but I fully dislike the scene between Hawkman and Black Adam, where Hawkman has a speech about, I'm the good guy and you're the bad guy. I'm like, who the fuck just said you're the good guy and who the bad guy? I'm like, who made you the guy who decides who's a good guy, who's a bad guy? I'm like, that was like one of the worst dialogues I've seen in a long time in a comic book movie.
Dead or alive,
I don't remember
you're coming with me.
Oh yeah, after he wrecks a bunch of shit, they're like,
he literally
we're
says,
taking you in.
Good guy. We're the good guys, and you're the bad guy. Therefore, you're bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoop de fucking do, motherfucker.
Well, that was the comic book part of it. That was like comic book realism. They have
that's
to fight.
like Batman and Robin comic book part of it, man. That's like horseshit. I actually look.
Am I the only one that hated the kid?
Yes.
Am I the only one that hated the kid?
Yes, because you hate kids.
I did.
Really?
I didn't. I'm so used to those at this point in movies.
I didn't dislike the kid. I dislike when he's like the guide for the superhero. Oh, you need a catchphrase. Oh, you need to do that, and that.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's his entire character.
I hated all that stuff, but the kid itself, as a kid, it would have been fine. Like if they just taken that silly, the comic bookness, the guide away, I would have been fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's his whole character.
It's like
it
coming on and saying, "Am I the only one who hated the legroom on these planes?" Like, no, you're not the only one, but we're just kind of that's kind of the way it is.
It could have been far more interesting if they just killed the kid in front of the rock, and it could have been one of the JSA members' fault, and have him just that would have been a lot more interesting to me.
That's an Elseworlds movie.
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the stuff that I loved, and I fucking loved.
I'll start it real fast. I actually do like how all the characters looked. I thought they looked. I mean, Hawkman looked phenomenal. I really like James Bond as Dr. Fate. I thought that was cool.
Pierce
Brosnan.
I was a little worried about Cyclone, but she was awesome. I didn't know how they were going to use her powers, and I wasn't quite sure how they were going to pull that off, because she hasn't really been in that many comics.
And Noah Centineo, for the people I know, for a long time he was going to be He-Man, for a very long time till they just scrapped that project. So I was the guy who played Atom Smasher.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for a long time he was supposed to be He-Man, and I think that project is scrapped. But I never seen him before. I only seen when they announced that he was going to be He-Man. I was like, okay, I don't know who he is. It's
pretty young, isn't he?
Huh?
You have to start them young, so that way you get as much out of them as possible.
You have to put some muscles on.
Hold on. Before we get to anyone, I just have to say, because I forgot to mention this, the internet did not spoil the best. Okay, first of all, the Rock even spoiled everything. Post-credit scene, everything was spoiled, right? The best cameo was not spoiled by anyone on the internet, and that is Henry Winkler as the Atom is fucking awesome.
That was
I was
Adam's. I'm good, thank you.
So Atom Smasher in the comic, right? Is Al Pratt? Is that his? It's his uncle in the comic too,
so,
right?
Yeah. Hold on.
Timeline for that's a little loose, because it would be like his great uncle or something like that.
That's the name of the original one.
Right, so he's the Golden Age Atom. So not the Atom Ray Palmer that shrinks and grows and stuff like that. He is the Atom. He's a short but strong guy. That best cameo in the movie. Sorry, Henry Cavill. That just the fact that we have Henry Winkler as a Golden Age Atom is fucking great.
Mm-hmm.
I laughed so hard at that scene. That was very, very good. I fucking love the JSA. I thought Hawkman was perfect.
Oh no, you're right. Al Pratt. Al Pratt.
Al
you're
Pratt.
right.
Yeah. Yep. I thought they were wonderful. Adam Smasher was great. I don't mind him being a little green and not sure what he's doing. I thought that was so good. Hawkman and Dr. Fate, their relationship, their friendship, so good. Just the history, and I like that we don't have to pretend like they've never been around. They've been around forever. It's just whatever. We're not gonna it's not gonna deal with it. It's fine. Don't worry. We're not introducing Hawkman today for the first time. No, he's been around for a long time. We'll get backstory later. Don't worry. The JSA have been a thing, and now they aren't. Why? They actually kind of get into it in the prequel comics. I read those after the movie, and what's funny is the prequel comics spoil the champion kid reveal. I guess we'll get to that in a minute and talk more about the New 52 stuff.
But
they sort of
comics? Which ones are these ones?
They did the 4 prequel comics. They did the Black Adam,
those short, those one shots.
Yeah.
I didn't read those.
Yeah, they're not great, but yeah, they do set up that the JSA was around, but they had been disbanded for a while, and so they don't really ever get into Amanda Waller reforming them or getting them together or anything. So that's never mentioned in the comics. I don't know if that's a late addition to the movie that they didn't put that in the comics because they didn't realize Amanda Waller was not supposed to be involved. That is a little weird. Why would Amanda Waller call them? Why would Amanda Waller call Superman? Right? It's the same problem. She's their Oracle, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if they'll ever deal with that. It does feel a little off, but whatever. That's fine. But I love the JSA. I loved them. Hands down. The powers were amazing. I wish he kept the helmet on more, but I love Dr. Fate. The costume is great. Hawkman, if he was a badass, just a fucking dick. It's great. I had so Hawkman. Yeah, they were all really good. And I didn't like The Rock. He's fairly subdued in this movie. Kevin, you said he was winking and mugging at the camera and stuff.
No, he wasn't. No,
who said that?
He was way more low key in this.
Or maybe you said you were hoping he wouldn't or something. But yeah, he was. I thought
that was me. That was me.
Was it you? Yeah, no, I didn't think he did that at all. He was. I thought, Black Adam is a more serious, stoic character. And some of the comedy in it, and most of it was fine. None of it really bothered me. It wasn't overloaded. But
when he was trying to keep landing the line that the kid wanted him to say, I was kind of like, come on.
Sure, a little cheesy, but it's all right.
I did like the sarcasm jokes. I like those. Those were fine with me. And again, look, this is nitpicking. Whatever. Yeah, that's whatever to me, right? That's whatever to me. That's nitpicking. But I would have just preferred it was American invaders in this country where the people got their guy now, right? That would have been more interesting. But if they want to crack those jokes, that's totally fine. I like half of them.
Yeah, no. My fear was that it was just I'm obviously concerned of these things being too overloaded with jokes. Maybe you've got you've got a Plastic Man movie. I expect it to be very funny, right? Black Adam, the comedy should be pretty minimal, and then it was maybe a little too much in some scenes, but it's not Love and Thunder, right? I mean, it's not Ragnarok. It's not Guardians 2. It's not just endless. So it was fine. It was a reasonable amount, and nothing really bothered me with that. But I thought The Rock did a good job as Black Adam, and he's a very stoic character. And Black Adam or The Rock is very emotive and very over the top. So he was much more reserved than I thought he would be. I don't know if he'll do that in other movies, but. Yeah, I had, as far as any of the characters, other than the kid, I had really no complaint. I'd love them to bring in Isis down the road. The actress, I have no strong feelings on either way. She was fine. But I they have the ability to make her ISIS. She's got the necklace, so that'd be cool. I'd love to see that. More superheroes. We'll do.
Come on, no one's
going
to shout out a Skybeam. Come on, people. Come on. What are we doing here?
I seriously thought of you when he did that.
Thank you. I'm flattered.
I was like, well, we have Sabek, who is basically, you didn't even mention this, right? It's the evil version of Black Adam.
But at least
right?
he had different. He had like fire powers, so at least it looks different.
He's like the devil.
Yeah, it looks different.
Yeah.
If they were just standing there punching each other back and forth and like shooting lightning at each other. See also Iron Man, Ironmonger, Scarlet Witch, and Agatha Harkness. Blah 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 blah. Go on.
but we did get the beam into the sky, and so I thought of you, Kevin, during that scene. So
I really liked the.
Oh, sorry. Just one last thing, but I do understand that if you haven't seen Shazam, just ignore the comics. If you haven't seen Shazam, maybe some of it is a little confusing, but at this point, the comic movies are like the comic books. It kind of expects you to know some of this stuff. So I like that they didn't shy away from just not being, if we give them the same origin as Shazam, people are going to be super confused. They're not going to understand. They're just like, no, it's the same origin. It's the same thing. It's the same character. It's the same power. It's the same wizard. You'll figure this out eventually. We'll get to it, or you can look it up. It's fine. Don't worry. And if you haven't seen it, it maybe glosses over it a little quick, but at least gives you some origin of where he gets his powers. So again, I like that they didn't change his origin. And let's do that. Let's do. I do want to talk to New 52 stuff, and we'll talk post credits. But yeah, Brock, give me some stuff you liked.
Well, I really liked the scene, like two scenes at the end, when he just pulls Sabek apart. I was like, "Yep, that'll do it. That'll work." And then when he sits in the throne and kind of just eases into that like resting position, which is straight out of it's that 45 cover of 52, where he's just and the thing is like The Rock was like positioning his arms and hands and like everything perfectly, and I was just like, "Yep, I'll take it." So that was something I really enjoyed.
It could be tough to when they so accurately recreate a comic scene or cover. It can sometimes feel a little
forced,
unnatural, or forced. Yeah, but that worked for me. That was cool.
I was just like, "Oh, they're doing it."
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it was cool. It's a cool look. It's a cool look. Kevin, you must have liked something. Give us a few things.
I did.
Give us your.
I did. I thought the JSA was great. The realization.
Yeah, full spoilers now. So go into one or two things, and then I'll do that post credit stuff too.
Well, that's that's the favorite thing that I like. So
okay, well, Toby, you gotta like something here. You gotta like something. What's
I already told you. I like how everybody looked.
Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I was the last person to go.
I think I'm a little just villain-wise. Sabek in the whole search for the crown thing was like a reasonable enough comic book plot to move the pieces where they were. I just like that I want to see what this R-rated cut is. Release the R-rated version, because apparently there was a ton of scenes that got cut or trimmed or adjusted because the violence was just a little too over the top. So I don't know what they changed, but they did not shy away from some good. That scene where he just lets go the lightning bolt and all the guys are just like frozen. It's like you see the lightning bolts just like arcing to each person and they all just explode. Like, that was pretty good.
Well, I loved it when they shoved that grenade in the guy's mouth and the guy pulls out and goes, shit.
Oh, shit. I wonder if that was one of the ones that got cut where he didn't pull it out of his mouth and they didn't turn. It just blows up his head.
They're like, we need to do 2 takes here. One, just and then fall. And then the other one, we need to take it out and go, oh, shit.
Yeah. That was good stuff. All right. We'll talk post-credit scene. I do want to say this, though. First of all, I must continue my argument that a post-credit scene is not a movie. And I hate that so much. I went through my usual round when I go through podcast topics. I have a RSS feed that's most of the comic news sites. Articles about Henry Cavill being in the post-credit scene of Black Adam 10-1 over any other article posted by any other comic news site involving the movie. You got a couple about the box office. You get a couple about certain characters. We're like, oh, who are the JSA? Things like that. 50, 60, 70 articles. Easy about just various aspects of what does Henry Cavill being back mean for the DC universe? Oh, the post-credit scene. Look, I love this shit. One of my favorite things about a single issue comic book is the shock cliffhanger ending, right? I get that that's what post-credit scenes are supposed to try to replicate.
To a degree.
But it's not quite the same because the wait between movies is so long. It's not like you're trying to hook you to come in the next month. And they just so overtake the discussion that the movie becomes meaningless. And the only thing people care about is the thing that they haven't seen.
That last thing they saw.
It's not the last thing they saw. It's the thing they haven't seen.
No, but that's the last thing they saw is what they're talking about. That end credit.
They talk about the post-credit scene, right? They talk more about the thing that doesn't exist that's coming than they do the thing that they just saw. And that has been I don't think we're ever going to get rid of post-credit scenes in the comic movies. They're very popular. But who has talked about the movie? No one. The only thing anyone talks about is, oh, Henry Cavill's coming back. And I'm very excited for Henry Cavill coming back. And it was a cool scene. I'm not going to lie. Are like post-credit scenes, like, are they too important? Like, it's too much. You can't get rid of them now, right? I don't know. Like, if they make them less important, then why have them? So I don't know. I don't have a good answer. I
know why you have them. You have them?
I mean, I know why they're there, and they're very successful, and I do like them.
Doesn't matter.
But I just wish people could add it to the conversation instead of it being the only conversation.
Well, I think that they need to be added in just so people sit through the credits to at least watch the credits of all the people that worked on the movie that are credited.
Sure, I have no problem with that. Yeah. I always sit through the credits of every movie I go to. I don't leave.
So,
post-credit scene or no post-credit scene?
I think that having a post-credit scene in a film is not it shouldn't be the like you say, kind of the thing that makes the movie what everyone talks about. It should be something that either adds to the movie enjoyment, right, or gives you enough, but the movie has to give you enough on its own for the end credit scene to be able to carry it into something else. So like when we watched Avengers was just like, you were like, yes, this was good. And then we had that turn at the end, that side profile of Thanos, and we're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, that is just enough, but it didn't take away from Avengers. People talked about who that was and what that means and all that stuff, but Avengers was still talked about because it was still solid and stood on its own.
Yeah, and I understand that they're going to have to keep doing this because it does push people to the next thing, and it is a big excitement builder. And like I said, I do like it. It's not the movie. The movie can't control the narrative. The audience is the only one that can control this. And I wish more people would talk about the thing they saw than the post-credit. Now we're going to talk about the post-credit as one part of a larger conversation about the movie, because I did like it. It was very cool to see Henry Cavill back as Superman. And we got significant news within the last couple of days, on Monday, and then today. Which let me get this up because
are we dropping the news first, or we?
Well, in a whole package. Now that we know exactly what's going on, let's do parts 1, 2, 3. Part 1, post-credit scene put together by The Rock, basically forced it into the movie. If you read any of the way he talked, Warner Brothers did not want to have Henry Cavill back. Apparently, from what I read, they wanted Henry Cavill in Shazam. He was going to show up and actually do that post-credit scene where he walks in himself. But that was going to count as one of his appearances, so they nixed it. And seemingly the heads of Warner were like, we're out. Like, we don't want him back anymore. Which is kind of fucking crazy to me. Like, just fucking pay the guy? Like, what do you want? He's Superman. Pay him. Like, it's fine. So The Rock pushed really hard. I don't think he pushed really hard. I think he basically said, we're doing this. I'm The Rock. We're doing this. And he got Henry Cavill back. They shot that scene late. I think like September, they said. I don't know if did anyone read the time of that?
I didn't read, but it was probably something that was done like very late.
It was late.
It was the last day.
Yeah,
I would believe it was the last day.
Was it the last day of filming?
I read that somewhere.
Or last day of production. Yeah. So, so Henry Cavill on Monday put out a statement on Instagram. He said, I wanted to wait till Black Adam until we got through the opening weekend for spoilers and just, so everyone could have, everyone can go see the movie. But yes, I am back. I am back as Superman. And I'm very paraphrasing here, but he's like, and
things are happening.
Things are happening fast. Things are happening very fast.
That was Monday, and then that
was Monday,
and then then other social media finally got it, and so I watched his Instagram thing finally on Twitter today.
Yeah. I mean, it was everywhere on Monday. Yeah,
but it finally popped up in my feed today.
Sure,
but then what you're about to say was literally the next thing in my feed.
Yeah. So early this afternoon, Warner Brothers announced that James Gunn and Peter Safran are going to lead the film, TV, and animation department for DC Studios. So DC's James Gunn from the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker.
So you're saying that once he's done with Guardians, he's Warner Brothers only?
DC Comics James Gunn, star of the Harley Quinn animated season, Harley Quinn animated season 3, star of stage and screen and animation. Did anyone watch Harley Quinn season 3?
No, I haven't watched it.
Oh, it's so fucking good. James Gunn's in a bunch of it. James Gunn is going to tell me. Let me get the exact quote here. It's from Hollywood Reporter. Gunn will focus on the creative side of things, while Peter Safran, who was the producer of Conjuring and Aquaman and Shazam, so he's been at Warner for a while now. While Safran will focus on the business and production side. Both are expected to continue to direct and produce projects, respectively. They will report directly to Zaslav and work closely with Warner film bosses DeLuca and Pamela Abdy. Sources say the deal will run for 4 years and Gunn will be exclusive to DC. The goal is for them not to just be producers, but to truly function as executives, even as Gunn will occasionally hone a movie. So, Jason Todd, Jesus. Todd Phillips' Joker movie will continue under the Warner Brother group. All the Matt Reeves stuff will continue themselves. So those are separate. They're going to do their own thing, while Gunn is going to do DC Universe. And I'm assuming Superman is a massive priority on that. And probably involved in whatever last minute reshoots have to be done for Flash and Aquaman. Shazam's done, as far as I know. I think that's pretty much locked.
because aren't we?
That's March.
They pushed it to March. I thought it was February.
Yeah, no, it's March, I believe. I
think it got pushed, but
it's supposed to be December. It was supposed to go up against Avatar.
Yeah, that's right.
And it moves. Yeah, I believe it's March. So there we go. Cavill back. DC Films now. What did I say? DC Studios.
It's DC Studios now. Yep.
So DC Studios and third time's the charm. Kevin's not looking too confident.
No. That's a great hire because you've got a creative guy and you've got a boots on the ground producer as a team, and having two people, because their whole thing has been, right, we've got to find DC's Kevin Feige, but you've done something better, is that you found two people that each have a specific skill set who also complement each other when they're together. Great hire. And as for I'll be the volunteer outside of Gunn's office, but I'll just be the guy, the crocodile wrangler, in the sense that the first writer who comes in and goes, all right, man, here's my pitch. Opening of the movie, Batman walks into Arkham and straight up murders the Joker. That guy gets tossed into a pit of crocodiles, and that'll be my job.
Gunn's a comic fan. I mean, he's legitimately a comic fan. I feel like, whether you like sense of humor as comedy or stuff like that.
Well,
aside,
I think
I feel like he knows the material. It's not like he's going to write or direct everything. Like his job is to find people to work with. So,
but I think he learns. Like if you look at his Guardians, right? Amazing. Guardians 2, little too far, right? Comes back with the Suicide Squad. Some things were too far, but it was better. And then I thought Peacemaker was just spot on. Boom. Perfect.
I think you hire everyone involved with Peacemaker for any project, just because there's no part of Peacemaker that is lacking, whether it's directing, writing, acting, cinematography.
Well,
there is not
his wife was at the black site, so
yeah. I'm totally cool with Guns people being involved in doing whatever they want. So yeah, I'm.
But all kidding aside, you know what my number one most exciting aspect of this is? No joke, seeing Superman back, and I mean for real.
Yeah.
Because that post-credit scene, I said it was my favorite thing. It's not like the scene itself is great. I mean, it's basically nothing. It's just the two guys in a dark room. And there's
it's the two big powerhouses staring each other down. And you're like, I'm game. Let's do this. But
even better than that, dude, is like, to quote the great Hank McCoy with "Oh my stars and garters," are those bright primary colors on Superman's costume? What the? Have I slipped through the looking glass here? Never mind, the John Williams score is just an extra little bit of sugar on top of it. But I mean, just to look at him, I go, Superman's back. Look, we don't need to get into the past movies. I don't want to do that. But I'm saying, I think with those guys at the helm, you're going to have a take on Superman that is going to resonate with a broader audience. That's all I'll say, including me.
So I don't think James Gunn is the right person for Superman. No, he's not. No. Right?
No.
But I think he can find the right people for Superman. Because Peacemaker's amazing. I love the first Guardians. I like Suicide Squad a lot. None of that works for Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman or Green Lantern or Martian. Like the broader DC universe.
Hold on.
Gunn is not the guy I actually want involved in it.
Now, if it was a Booster and Gold movie, would you like Gunn at the helm?
He runs a little harder. Yeah. Booster and Blue Beetle could be good, but I think you want to put him in charge of basically any zany project. You want to give him free reign to draw from the depths of who's who and go do something fucking weird. Or you want to have like endless Suicide Squad movies with him? Sign me up, right? Him and a Green Arrow, Green Lantern, hard traveling heroes. Probably not the guy I want. You want him on a Birds of Prey movie, it's probably not the guy. Superman, definitely not. But do I think he is smart enough to have now done, 3 movies, a special at Marvel?
I'll take him on a Batman and the Outsiders movie any day.
Couple movie, one movie, Peacemaker, plus whatever else he's doing. Do I think he's gonna have? Oh my God, it's Scott. Is that Scott?
This is. I got to get my headphones set up.
You make this difficult for me to. We'll get this. We'll get this
It
merged in.
was
Don't
like
worry.
109, 109, 110.
I'll get this all fixed up in post.
Hello, Scott.
But Gunn in charge of the overall on the creative side, absolutely. Yep. I think he's more than earned it. Scott, are you there?
I'm here.
Scott, we're starting at the end with you. We just talked about the post-credit scene. We just talked about James Gunn, as of today, being co-head of the newly formed DC Studios.
I was pretty excited
to handle all DC projects, almost all DC projects going forward. Late, but we'll still have you. What's your thoughts on Black Adam? Give us your go for it. Go crazy.
I'm interested to hear what you guys had to say too. This is not one where I had to message you in the middle of the movie, so that's a plus.
Not that good, not that bad.
So I actually really liked it, like truly. And you guys might think I'm crazy, but there was certain things about it that I truly, honestly was like, that's pretty good. Now, there's some things I didn't love. I thought the kid was annoying.
So far, you're me and you have the same review. So just
the kid was annoying, but so I love the Justice Society. And I like John's run in the society. I have an original piece of artwork with Hawkman and Black Adam fighting. And it felt so much in the comic book. I mean, I could have gone either way on Atom Smasher, or Smasher as they called him. But I really liked Cyclone. Quite a bit, actually. I was surprised about that character actually being something I was like, oh, okay. I didn't expect much from that at all. The fight scenes and the CGI, some of that stuff was good. I just felt like the feel of the story itself was much better than some of the other stories that we've seen. Like, I had to just go and make excuses to like something, and this I just liked. I don't know if that makes a lot of sense. I just enjoyed, quite a bit of this movie.
Yeah, we were kind of all up and down. Me and Brock were more on the positive side. Kevin a little more on the negative side.
No,
Toby,
I could totally see Kevin not liking this at all.
But
Toby pretty hard on the negative side, surprisingly. So
no, not
it's a
really.
rock
This
joint.
is just not a Toby thing. Like, come on, you could have totally predicted that. I could have gone, okay, Toby's not going to like this. I assumed that you did.
Well, of course, it's a DC thing.
No, it's not even a DC thing.
No, it's just everything you said is exactly what I said. It's just fun. It's far from the perfect. I hated the kid. There's problems with it, but the action was good. The fight scenes were fun. It was fun. The JSA were awesome.
Love the JSA. I
yeah.
mean, there was times when you're like, okay, could Pierce Brosnan have had some better dialogue? Yeah, I think some of the dialogue could have been a little bit better, but all in all, I mean, you gotta love Dr. Fate. That is pretty much exactly Hawkman. Hawkman is an idiot that runs into everything all the time.
That's exactly what I said.
It is 100% Hawkman.
Yep.
So people that are like, "Oh, nobody, that's just dumb."
Yeah,
like, no, that's exactly his character.
Yeah, he's a big jerk.
He just is a total jerk, and it's like his way or the highway, and that's just the way he rolls. And and Black Adam's the same way. So they don't go into the fact that, both of, Fate is, hundreds of years old or 100 years old or however old. And, Hawkman essentially in the Rebirth is 100 years old also. Like those guys are
thousands of years old.
Thousands of years old. They've been around
Yeah.
a long, long time. I was surprised at how strong they made Hawkman. That was the only thing I was like, I don't remember.
Yeah, nth metal. And they don't even like explain nth metal. They're just like, yeah, whatever. It's all made of nth metal, and they just like never go into it. I'm like, well, all right, that's fine.
Time for that. The movie.
You know what it is? Yeah, we got Eternium
That
and
was-
nth metal.
That was the Jack Kirby thing, right?
This is
the
no
nth metal?
unobtainium.
It was close to unobtainium, but
Was
Kinda let
was
that
nth
go.
metal the Jack Kirby stuff?
I don't know.
Nth
That,
metal?
no, because it's Hawkman.
That's Hawkman.
That's
Yeah,
Hawkman.
yeah, that all comes from Hawkman. Mhm.
so
Because Kirby was actually
When we left the theater, me and Seth were like, "What the hell? What fourth world
there
thing
was a
is in here
fourth
that
world
they're
thing at
thinking
the
of?"
end of the credits.
No, it's Intergang. That's
okay.
That comes
Yeah.
from Fourth World and
Yeah.
Kirby. Yeah, I was just like, "What is Fourth World in here?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, Intergang. Yeah, that's where that comes from."
Intergang's Fourth World.
Yeah,
Yep,
Jimmy
yep.
Olsen.
Oh,
And,
that's right. Okay, got it.
Bruno Mannheim. All right, that's the guy that runs
Yep.
Intergang.
Deep
So-
cuts.
I mean, I'm gonna have to go back and watch or listen to the podcast to see what you guys said. But
Pretty much just what
I
you
mean,
just said.
Again, didn't
Well-
you guys feel like it just felt better?
I said it felt like a comic book. It's just
Yeah.
heroes and action and powers, and they all had them superhero names, and they called them by their names constantly, and they had powers and costumes the whole movie. And that, I feel like a lot of times they don't do that. They sort of pull back on that on every movie and show, and they're almost like a little. Sometimes they're a little afraid or embarrassed, right?
Well, I mean, again, you could go in and nitpick this movie super easy.
Yeah.
Well, how does he understand English already? How does he?
See,
You basically listen to this podcast.
No, I don't have to listen to
yeah,
it.
you're just summing it all up. Like,
I mean, you could totally go in and pick it apart, but at its soul, what did it feel like? For me, it felt like it was more serious than Shazam. It was less dark than Justice League Batman versus Superman. It had less problems, I thought, than the Justice League Batman versus Superman stuff. And it was kind of, for me, the right amount of darkness, as, it was in between Shazam and those movies, which is kind of like what I enjoy. I loved all the...
Would you say it was on the level of like Aquaman and Wonder Woman in kind of its
I
presentation?
thought it was better than Aquaman. I thought the first Wonder Woman...
No, I'm not talking like on your rating. I'm talking like tone wise, because you're talking like Batman versus Superman had this darkness to it, whereas Aquaman and Wonder Woman kind of pulled away a little from that and kind of established their own kind of tone. And then we had Shazam over here a little bit lighter.
It was probably, I mean, again, I think it's in that comic book territory.
Mm-hmm.
It's not too dark, not too light, but I don't know. I liked the feeling of it as a movie, without picking holes at because there's holes, but it's just something that I chose, and again, I've said this over, how many movies have we done? I generally choose the positives first, and kind of get a little ruffled when we all decide to pick on it a little bit. But yeah, by no means perfect, but it felt good to me. It felt like a pretty good, movie going experience. So definitely not a waste of my $6 because I saw it today. So it was only $6.
We'll get to you, but I want to hear Toby's thoughts on James Gunn and Superman in the post credit scene, because I think we were about the next. That was about the next.
This post credit scene, I clapped.
and then we'll get your take on that, Scott. But if Toby's still around, Toby's still there.
Yeah.
Hit me up. What do you think? Gunn taking over. Superman post credit. What's your thoughts? You haven't heard from you yet.
I was really annoyed that the Superman thing got spoiled because I would have really, 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 really loved having that hit me as the movie was happening. Like, I was really, really bummed when, like, look, if you listen to a lot of rock talk, you knew he was pushing for the Superman thing because he always thought that would not be cool, you know. So when it actually happened, I wasn't too surprised, but the fact that it got spoiled like a week before the movie or like a couple days before the movie, I was really kind of bummed because that scene was fucking cool, and I loved it.
Mm.
As for Gunn running DC, sure, like, I mean, it can't get any worse, right? So. I'm like, so I'm for it. I mean, I like Gunn's work, and he obviously is a filmmaker person, and so yeah, bring it on. I actually think it's not just him. I think a lot of rock people are like the Garcia guy that it's his childhood buddy that's produced a lot of the rock movies. I think he's going to be a big part of this too. Look, I don't know. I'm just basing on the stuff I read, stuff that been seeing. It looks like he might be part of the crew now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting going forward. I
mean, The Rock's going to carry DC like he carried what wrestling group did he carry, Scott?
Are you serious?
That's right.
Step off with your non-knowledge.
I went there.
The WWE.
WWE. He carried the WWE. He's going to carry the DC.
You're just trolling that.
You like that? You like that?
I come on this podcast for this?
I was going to say, if there's not even a response, that was bad.
Well,
Scott
Ryan doesn't know anything about wrestling, so
I
used to watch wrestling all the time when I was a kid. I didn't follow it as an adult. What's your thoughts on that post credit scene? Did you get spoiled?
Yes, I got
Everyone
spoiled.
did. I mean,
Sunday. So I waited all the way to Sunday. I had a thing going on, and I saw something about it. So I was a little upset, like Toby was, because I was excited. I mean, it was good. I mean, they jammed Waller and Superman in the same thing, but I mean, yeah, when you see him come through, you're like, because he's the best thing about kind of the Snyderverse. Just him as Superman is what we want. So you see him come through, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty exciting. And you're like, okay, this could start going in the right direction. So I had it spoiled, but at the same time, I clapped. I haven't clapped for something in a long time. And that's probably why I was like, yeah, just the feel of the movie, the feel of what they put together, while not perfect, was just felt right to me. It's promising.
I sit emotionless and silent in movie theaters, but I clapped on the inside.
Oh yeah,
you weren't silent at the end of Shazam with Mr. Mind.
Yes, we were. We stood up and slowly slow clapped. I'm not one of these jerk offs that has 12 people filming them with the lights on, and then posting on YouTube their reaction videos.
Yeah, no,
fuck those people.
I want to see the videos of people reacting to those people, like and beating the crap out of them or something,
calling the cops.
Yeah, so that was good. I read about Snyder taking over, or not Snyder, but
Gunn.
That would be
not be very different. It'd be a very different conversation when Snyder took over.
No, exactly. For Gunn and the crew, I haven't read anything more about it, so I was surprised early when the troll reviews came out that were so bad.
Oh, the critical reviews are awful. That's what I was saying at the beginning. Like, there's some that are straight up like, 1 out of 10, 0 out of 5 stars. I never go on Rotten Tomatoes. I will break that right now, just because I'm sure some of the pull quotes here are incredible. 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, I hate Rotten Tomatoes. I never go on. Black Adam is nothing more than a splashy 2-hour coming attractions reel for future motion pictures. I mean, literally, no, not except for
Have they seen any Marvel movie?
Yeah, I don't understand how it's any different. Kevin, is it any different?
He's gone.
Kevin did leave. Yeah, Kevin is off for the rest of the podcast. But,
I just they're wrong. This was good.
About as soulless, empty, and unnecessary a superhero movie as you will ever see.
That's a hard no. I would completely disagree. If they said the kid was annoying and whatever, but that kid is, was he any more annoying than
he's just a
all of the kids in Thor?
He's just a reflection of what was going on with Tet Adam in the past. It's just kind of a more modern kind of reflection of that. It's not specifically him, but it's a representation.
Right, and it wasn't that bad.
No, it's not. It's just.
I should say, we didn't talk about it. Yeah, so original Black Adam origin was nothing like this. He was just a bad guy.
Nothing.
Right?
No.
Pre New 52, he was more like this in that he runs Kandak, and he's like a very Doctor Doom like character.
He's like, stay out of my country and I'll stay out of your business.
Yeah. That's the more modern Doctor Who. Now, the thing about him having a kid, that's from New 52. So that's Jeff Johns' origin, where his kid is the original champion, and it's not. I don't think it's quite the same.
No, it's different because his kid doesn't give him. He
does
has the powers,
but the kid still has the powers, right?
Yeah.
So the kid does give it to him. He's not like he doesn't die and give it to him, but it's similar. It's similar. So this is mostly the New 52 version, a little bit. So I don't know if at the very end, right, when Black Adam, he has a line where he says something to the Atom Smasher. He says I'll be seeing you or something like that. In the comics, Atom Smasher is one of the ones that leaves the JSA and joins Black Adam.
Yep.
So that's a clear reference to that. They're going to build up that friendship in another movie or something. And The Rock has said you're not going to be waiting years for Black Adam 2. Oh, it's happening now. We're already working on it. So they're hauling ass on this stuff. They're having to fast track,
and
they're fast tracking everything, which is,
do it. Same thing. So, I'll say this: the Fast and the Furious movies do not get their Rotten Tomatoes on those guys is not good, and they're good movies. So, I would think if like Toby said, the Fast guys are going to be in charge, where there's going to be some of them along with Gunn.
Well, not the Fast guys, but the seven bucks production guys.
That's the Rock's guys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll be fine. So, it's.
Well, look at Ryan Reynolds. His passion getting behind Deadpool, just elevated that. And then what does he get? If he wants to do something, he does something. He gets Hugh Jackman to come back to do a Deadpool 3. Right?
Yeah, it's. I think it's promising. It's a good kind of setup, and they can just kind of meander around. Obviously, Dr. Fate dies, but we know that the helm just chooses its next person. So, so Dr. Fate can be around, but it doesn't have to be Pierce Brosnan. It can be, and there was no explanation to any of these people. So if you saw it with somebody that didn't know who any of these characters were,
that was Toby.
They might be like, who are these people? But at the same time, if you go with a fan, I can go, hey, this is who this is. That's who that is. And there's already such a history behind it. I actually appreciated that they didn't go in and have to go through this long thing. Now, I'm just not. I'm one guy, right? But that's kind of, I was like, oh yeah, I don't have to go through another 10 origin stories for every single one of these characters because I know them all. So I appreciated that. But again, the layman or a normal might not.
I think the complaint on the origin stories is, even the people that don't know them probably get bored with similar tropes regularly over and over. So most comic movies have decided to just ditch the origin for the most part, right? You get it played out differently in the TV shows like Moon Knight and Miss Marvel and She-Hulk, where it's just played very differently because it's over such a long period of time. And TV shows pace so different than a movie. But yeah, if every comic movie was a kind of standard origin story, it would be like the same movie over and over again.
I think that like take Atom Smasher and Cyclone, right? Like Atom Smasher was just this quick, like, I inherited powers from my uncle. Like they ran with that kind of uncle gave me this suit. It was a hand me down, but I'm still trying to make it work. I'm coming to my own. Like boom, done. Like,
to be fair, that's about the most of the origins of a lot of these side characters. Some get really detailed, big, main, redone origins regularly. Superman, Spider-Man. Most are just like that. They're like, yep, here's my 2-panel origin. Now on to the adventure. That's all they get. Well, there was no 6-issue Atom Smasher origin miniseries that came out when that character first appeared. He just fucking appeared, and they're like, yep, here he is.
Well, with Cyclone, it was just like they're working on the brother, right? And she's talking about like nanobots. Well, that's what I have in me, right? It was just a connecting thing, right? It was a little weak, but it connected it enough for us to get that short little, secret origin at the back of 52, right? That 4-panel thing that they had.
I think as a comic fan, we're sitting on here at a somewhat of a divided podcast, but do most of us, I didn't care. Now, if you're looking at as a movie as a whole to review it, is Mike LaSalle from the San Francisco Chronicle, who the little man was not even in the chair. That matters to him. Doesn't matter to me. So
the little man in the chair is like he fell out of the chair,
he's
right?
Gone. He's out.
Yeah, like he left the movie. Yeah. I remember. I see these reviews. Yeah,
and I'm like, it's. But as he was explaining, he was like, and Hawkman's the worst character ever, and this is exactly what he did in the review. This is who he was, and I'm like, that's actually not a bad review because that's exactly who Hawkman is.
That's what we said earlier. Like it's Hawkman. Like he's a hit with mace, so ask questions later. Like
right. So Hawkman made this movie reviewer mad, and I'm like, that's exactly who Hawkman should be. So, what do I think of your review now? Now, again, they don't go in to say that Hawkman's 1,000 years old, and that's just how things go. But whatever it is, it's like, yeah, that review was at that point void for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It was just done. I'm like, okay, that review does not count towards the reviews for this movie because that's who they're doing exactly what they should be doing.
Well, I think it's one of those things where reviews are kind of more reactionary versus kind of looking at the films, at least because they have their origins are from comic books. They have different origins than like something you would just watch as just a movie. Oh, look, boom, here's a movie. Let me review it. You need to put a little bit of kind of effort into like, who is this character? Does this character work? Did this character fit this? And kind of be more of a guide to people versus just saying, no, it was trash because I didn't like it.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's what I think we're getting. And unfortunately, you're reviewing something that just, it's like, no, that's not. You
need to review it with the thought in mind of nobody knows anything about these characters, and I need to enlighten them on just a little smidgen on who these characters are. Right.
Which is why. Okay, so I went in after the movie and was looking at like audience reviews, which were actually all really pretty good.
Yeah.
So I mean, and usually the audience reviews are better anyway, but in this case,
it's better by a significant percentage, and you don't have the Snyder cut, goosing those numbers or anything, right? If anything, they probably didn't like it.
Right.
Yeah, this feels pretty naturally liked by a bigger part of the
like
audience.
It the second that blue and red was not the Snyder color coming out on that end credit scene. Like, they were losing their goddamn minds because it wasn't the same color.
So,
well, they're definitely losing their minds now that James Gunn is running DC Studios. So they are
anything to drive those people crazy, right?
They are having a day.
I mean, it's again. I felt like it was promising. I was a little, as we're watching the movies and the universe grow and kind of struggle, and watching, like, I thought that like Wonder Woman took a step way back with the second movie.
Yeah, it did.
Way back. And unfortunately, with all, your social issues, you're not going to see. I mean, did they completely shelve The Flash yet?
No, it's coming up. No, it's happening. They're not doing anything with that. They're shot like they just reshoots with Ezra Miller, and they're okay for now.
They're reshooting stuff with Ezra Miller to remove Ezra Miller.
No, as far as I know, they're still in it.
How I would be super happy if they just got rid of Ezra Miller and
well, they kind of have to. Isn't he going to jail?
And replace Barry Allen with Wally West.
Post-credit scene.
They're like, this is the new Flash.
I actually meant to look this up. Has there been a movie released where the main actor in the movie was in prison when the film is released? There probably has been.
Let me see.
Come on, actors are freaking.
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering. Like I don't think Ezra Miller is going to go to jail, but if they do, that'd be interesting because Flash is happening.
Yeah.
So.
But that's that. So I'm glad I got. I mean, I was just interested to see what everybody was saying, and I'm like, I looked up at the clock, and I'm like, dope. I'm supposed to be on that podcast.
That's all right. Toby, any last thoughts before we get out of here?
Speaking of spoilers, I want to give a big thanks to Charlie who made sure that I watched the newest Doctor Who right away, so I wouldn't get spoiled on that one. So
already spoiled. Yeah. No big deal.
There's a new Doctor.
That's a huge deal.
Know?
What's going on with the new Doctor?
There's a new Doctor.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
I mean,
no spoilers.
I will tell you this: the only Doctor Who I've ever seen is at the shop.
On the TV randomly.
Those are the only Doctor Who's I've ever seen.
Then none of this will mean anything to you.
Well, I know there's doctors, and I know like Matt Smith from Game of Thrones is the Doctor.
Yeah. Morbius is Matt Smith.
Matt Smith.
Morbius. Who you fucking with there?
Well, we will have. I'm assuming
he's my favorite.
More news about DC Studios in the near future. I don't think they're going to. Maybe not till early next year, but I don't think they're going to sit for too long. I think they're going to very quickly make a bunch of very big announcements. And yeah, Black Adam. It's a fun movie. Enjoyed to various degrees by people in this podcast. Toby, I'm sorry you didn't like it more, but that's okay.
Where was it on your DC movie list, Ryan?
Me?
Yeah.
Pretty middle of the pack. I don't hate it at all. I think it's fun. I still like Man of Steel and Snyder Cut and Suicide Squad. Well,
right? See?
I like Suicide Squad more. I like Squad more.
Really?
I like the BVS Director's Cut more. I like Wonder Woman more. I mean, I really, people seem to forget, or I don't know, maybe people don't forget. I do really like Snyder stuff. Certain versions of it. Yeah, I'd say it's pretty middle of the pack. Yeah, better than Wonder Woman, better than Birds of Prey. maybe around the same as Suicide Squad.
Better than Squad. I thought it was
Wait, Suicide Squad or
better
the
than
Suicide Squad?
Really?
What, the second one or the first one? The one with
I think it's better than the first and about tied with the second.
I did like the second. John
I like
Cena
the
was
second Suicide Squad
Mhm.
quite a bit. Yeah, I'd say Shazam. I probably like Shazam a smidge more. Shazam's super fun.
I'd have to go back and look. I mean, that would be a list building.
Yeah.
Well, there's not too many movies for you to watch, so you're pretty good.
There's 2 Squads.
Yep.
One Batman. 2 Batman.
2 Wonder Woman, BVS,
The Wonder Woman.
Man of Steel,
Shazam.
Birds of Prey, Shazam, Aquaman. Oh, I forgot Aquaman. I'd say yeah, it's about the same as Aquaman.
I think it's above Aquaman.
Oh, I think Aquaman's better than this.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there was anything that annoyed me in Aquaman, other than Mira. But maybe
I like again. I liked Aquaman. Aquaman was
Mira
very fun.
annoys me more now.
She annoys
Really?
you more now, I think.
You
Why?
think so? After the Johnny Depp thing?
Oh, I don't even want to get into that. I have no. Let me just put it this way: I have no problem with Mara.
You have no problem with Mira.
I have no problem with
I don't remember
Mara.
if I did or not. I'd have to go back and look.
No, I have no problem with Mara now or then. So
There you go.
yeah, Toby, bottom of the barrel for you.
Trying to think. I also wonder if I just maybe was expecting a lot more. But
And maybe I was expecting a lot less after seeing that no guy in the theater review.
yeah, look, I actually really like MOS, and I actually
Yep.
dug the Snyder JLA version, the 4-hour, 5-hour movie one. I wish we could have seen an Affleck Batman movie, but like the other ones, I mean, look, Wonder Woman's up there for me, the original one, but the rest of them, they're all kind of in the same pot for me. Like, maybe the second Suicide Squad a little higher than the original, but they're all kind of semi in the same pot. I mean, look, I just, it's funny because when I finished the movie and my normie friends were just trashing the movie, I was like, "Fuck you guys! I'm gonna defend this motherfucker." But then I'm like, some of this, sure, yeah, okay. Because
Yeah,
I don't actually want it to do bad, right? Because I love this stuff, right? And even if I didn't enjoy this one, I want them to make more, and I want to see sequels, and I want more of this to happen. So
Toby, don't you feel like this movie was not made for normies?
yeah, maybe. I think my biggest takeaway in all of this, besides nitpicking, I really wish for half an hour or a half less action and a half more story.
Oh, interesting.
That's still, like, that's the biggest takeaway. I would have preferred slightly more story and less action. But I enjoyed the action. I'm just saying, if they'd done that, I think I would have been fully on board. But
Yeah, for me it was it's just a tone thing. I mean, I didn't
tone was
spend...
fine. I thought the tone was fine. My biggest things were story driven. Like, I thought there's more interesting stuff to explore that they kind of just glossed over in the movie itself. But like, look, here's the thing. I'm rooting for all these movies, right? So I always feel bad when I don't like it personally, right? Or I didn't like it as much as I thought it was, right? So because I mean, look, obviously I'm a huge nerd. We're on a fucking podcast, and my room is surrounded by comic books, right? So I obviously want the stuff to do really well, and I get excited when they do stuff and they work on projects, like, and maybe I just expect too much of this one. So
no, I mean, because I can understand. I mean, I think some of it comes to preference, right? When we look at what we want to watch, what we want to do.
Yeah.
I did not find myself picking this movie apart during the movie.
That's good.
So that's why I feel like it was a little bit better. Afterwards, again, there's like, whatever the last movie. What did I watch and text you and Ryan?
Love and Thunder.
Oh yeah, but then I had to defend it. I
Yeah,
totally
same,
liked it.
because Ryan was such a jerk off about it.
He was such a jerk.
Love and Thunder?
Yeah,
Yeah, you were such a
you
jerk.
were such a jerk, man.
You were such a jerk. I
Was
love
I?
that movie now. That's one of my favorite movies.
Love and Thunder?
Yep, love it.
Why was I a jerk about Love and Thunder?
You were
I thought
just
it was
a
the
jerk.
same as Ragnarok, your
Oh,
favorite movie,
Jesus
everyone's favorite
Christ.
movie.
Oh gosh, no,
here
it's
we
the
go
best.
again.
Yeah,
Here we go again.
it's equal. It's equal to
It's not.
Thor Ragnarok,
No, it's not.
Far
the
superior.
movie you guys all love.
Yeah,
Well, it might be equal, but Thor Ragnarok was great too. Then
So there you go. If you think Ragnarok was great, then you must love Love and Thunder.
that is not correct.
podcast number 2 about the same thing that we already saw.
Here is our spoiler page, or not spoiler page. Our epilogue page.
Right, just going in.
Yeah, that's for next episode.
Oh, and I just love Superman showing up at the end. So good,
Yeah.
so good. So all you trolls that just didn't like this because of X, Y, and Z.
Would you have liked it better if it was Shazam showing up at the end versus Superman?
If it was Sam,
Shazam,
Shazam.
Captain Marvel.
Shazam,
I
no,
would have preferred to have been Shazam.
no, Superman. Shazam, save it. You got to save that whole thing.
Yeah, Billy needs a little more experience under the belt. You know, he's not quite Black
He doesn't even
Adam
know how to
level
fly.
yet.
I be honest. I thought about this too. Like, if you'd taken the villain from Shazam and replace him with the Rock, like this Rock, and actually have a little like more just Rock backstory, I think I would have been blown the fuck away of the original Shazam movie. Like, if you combine, like, you take the JSA out, you take this Rock and this backstory, and you put it on the backdrop of that Shazam movie they put out, and you take that villain out, maybe some of the other kids, I would have been like probably be floored on that movie. And I'm not even a Shazam Black Adam fan. Like, I was thinking if that was actually happening, I would have been pretty freaking stoked. And that's probably what they're building up to at this point. But if that was the original movie, I would have unexpectedly thought that was probably the best DC movie they'd done.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just makes you excited for what potentially they could do. Because all in all, Sirius Rock was good. You know? I mean, he was...
Well, I need DC just start pulling out the punches and do, like, you know... I mean, like, no disrespect to the Suicide Squads and whatever else they want to do, the Birds of Prey. Like bring on the big guns and then do all the small ones on the side. Like bring it on. Like bring on the Superman sequel. Bring on let's bring on the big guns, and then I'm as much as I love all the side stuff and the smaller stuff. Like let's why was Suicide Squad like the second movie or the third movie?
No, that is the plan. Well, that's what I said. They basically, according to reports, Warner Brothers was basically like, Cavill's out. We're not going to deal with him anymore.
Yeah.
So that, from what we understand, is rapidly changing. I think we're going to get a Superman movie way sooner than anyone thinks.
Well, obviously,
how are you saying Cavill's out and then all of a sudden, kaboom, there he is?
You have to realize that I think somebody finally told somebody at Warner Brothers to shut the up and get it done. Right?
I mean, we could have a Superman movie out Christmas 2024 if they wanted. All right. They could 2 years. They could do a Superman movie in 2 years. Christmas 2024, we could have a Superman movie. They could do it. They have the money. They have the people. Have the power. Dude, James Gunn. This isn't like something that starts like in a year. He starts in a week.
Right.
November 1st.
They're storyboarding the universe in a week.
Yeah, this is going to happen very quickly. Hopefully it's quality. Like, I don't want them to rush it if it's shit, but they understand how much they've underperformed. So
I think it's actually really interesting timing as Marvel is starting to go into, and again, no disrespect to any of the characters, C and D listers and B listers of characters, while the A-lister are either retiring or getting off the screen. That DC is like, all right, let's do our big guns now. It's actually maybe strategically even a really good timing for it.
to push some of the more well-known characters.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's going to be hard for them, obviously, because you're pushing characters that have been pushed on you already.
Mm-hmm.
But again, we all know that.
But I think whether we liked or disliked the movies, I think we all agreed that whoever they picked, they were all right for the characters. Like, I think,
so I have to wonder, so the movie did about whatever 67 million opening US, right? And that's obviously low end for MCU stuff. That's pretty decent for DC, really, outside of the first couple. Do you think there's just like a bit of a backlash to the DC stuff in general? If critic reviews were better, would people have gone to see this? Like if they were like,
probably a little more
like 75.
A little more
75.
I'll be honest, some of the people at my work, they're like, oh no, I don't like DC movies. Like it's actually a thing now. I think they got a little bit of an uphill battle. Like look, me and you are going to go watch it, but the fact that people at work, normies, know what the difference is between a DC movie and a Marvel movie, right? It's first of all, that's pretty funny on its own. But
they didn't go see Eternals. They didn't go see Black Widow. No, they didn't go see Morbius. They're Morbius not going to go see.
That's not an MC movie.
They're not going to go see.
By the way, when I was on the plane coming back,
they probably didn't see Thor. Love and Thunder.
Oh, they did. But when I came back on the plane, I decided to watch Morbius, and I just laughed when Matt Smith's character was basically another Morbius, and I just thought of Kevin.
Oh, he's just dancing and everything?
Oh, no, but I was just thinking of Kevin the entire time. I'm like, Kevin would love, and being sarcastic here, this movie.
Wait, did Kevin never see it?
I don't think he saw it.
Well, but it's like all the things that Kevin hates about a bad guy.
Yeah, it's a bad guy fighting the same guy.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of the good
Kevin's
guy.
favorite thing.
Yeah,
it's Kevin's favorite thing.
He loves Reverse Flash. I don't get it.
Kevin loves good guys fighting the same guy that they are.
Toby, did you think Morbius was a perfectly mediocre, middle of the road movie and probably would have been a mega hit if it came out in like 2003?
No,
because that's what I think.
No, I thought it was horseshit.
Did you really? I think if that came out like after Spider-Man 2, it would have been a hit.
I don't think so.
Really? I just think the formula's changed. I think that's the only difference. It feels like a movie from 2003. That's the difference, I think.
2003. Like, look, to me, Blade, which is what, 1997, is the bar.
Yeah.
And that doesn't hold a candle against Blade. I'm sorry. Like, not a candle.
No, but if that came out...
Blade movie was 98.
If that came out in the hype of
I was doing pretty good on memory alone, man.
I know.
In the Tobey Maguire era, at that time,
but
I think it would have been a hit.
You got to remember, I was not
things were so different pre-Iron Man. We forget.
I wasn't the biggest fan of any of those movies except for Daredevil, but I wasn't the biggest fan of those movies at the time. I remember I went to watch X-Men with a good high school friend, and she was excited for me because she knew how much of an X-Men fan I was, and she goes, "You loved it, right?" And I was like, coming out of here, actually, I thought it was kind of bad, right? So I was not the biggest fan of those comic book movies at the time.
Actually, it was kind of bad.
Yeah.
But they were successful. I think Morbius would have actually been successful. It came out at a different point.
Well,
that's what I think.
Well, I think DC has an opportunity right now, especially with how underperforming Phase 4 has been as a whole.
Well, I mean, it's gonna take a couple of strung together movies to move.
Yeah, I mean, they got an uphill battle, right? They really, really do. I mean,
I think in both ways, right? Marvel may have had a couple that haven't hit, but they've got Black Panther coming. Ant-Man's going to be a hit. They're going into big stuff. They're going to have a string of big successes that'll get people back on board. DC has to have the same to get people back on board, right? Marvel, they may have lost a few, but I don't think they're losing that much theatrically.
I mean, they're the industry standard, right?
Yeah.
So it's going.
I think Black Panther 2 is going to underperform. I think it's going to have an incredible opening weekend and then drop.
Well, it's not going to do Black Panther #1 numbers.
Well, that's right. I think it's going to have a humongous
I think it'll have a huge weekend compared to the first Black Panther, but the staying power of it is going to tank
No,
harder.
it won't do what the first Black Panther.
Well,
the first
no,
Black Panther
this-
did
this-
incredible.
The staying power on any movie is
It doesn't happen
the
anymore.
original
Well, I mean,
Black
that and
Panther was like
and
it's a
it has
normal.
to be
Yeah.
it has to be very good. For staying power to happen these days, the movie itself has to be very good.
So Avatar 2 is only in theaters for a week.
Avatar 2 will probably have a big opening weekend and then die.
Fingers fucking crossed.
I hope so.
Fingers crossed.
God, I don't want to see any more ads with those blue people.
No,
in it.
Avatar 2 is going to have a humongous opening weekend, and it's going to have like a 71% drop off week 2. 71.
You're quoting
Calling
it.
it.
You're calling it
71. 71% drop off.
Oh, well,
Hey,
is anybody
remember.
here going to go watch
Remember.
Can we timestamp this?
71% drop off. I've said it. I think it does under $1 billion. I think it does under $1 billion.
150.
I think it drops off. I think it drops off dramatically. The international numbers may goose it way up, but I don't. I'm saying under $1 billion.
I told you I don't know if I've talked about this with you guys, but it is the biggest movie I have zero interest in seeing. None. Zero. Actually, negative. I have I'm offended by the movie.
I just
and it
like
hasn't come out.
I remember watching the first one going, yeah, I can see the eye candy appeal, but this movie sucks. Like I just
You know,
It's
and
got to
there's
do like 180 opening and then tank.
and then like 12.
Tank.
Like I will
see.
tell you this. Okay, Waterworld. Do you know what that movie is, Ryan?
yeah,
Yeah,
the Kevin
of course.
Costner movie.
Okay, I've seen Waterworld like 3 times. Like if it's on TV, sometimes I'll watch it.
It's not awful.
No,
I saw when it came out.
Isn't there a director's cut?
Of
no,
Waterworld?
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I want to say there was either a shout release or one of the Arrow releases that has like a restored cut on there, and I'm really curious to see it.
add this to delve into a Waterworld review.
No,
This is going to turn into a Ryan has a.
I'm pretty certain it's Arrow that did it.
Yeah, Arrow Video. I just looked it up.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it's like I'll watch that, but I have seen.
It's
Avatar.
called the Ulysses cut.
Nice. I've seen Avatar one time. One time.
Holy shit. They added
You know what?
40 minutes to the Waterworld cut.
Isn't the Waterworld?
Yeah.
But as it is, guys, wasn't it supposed to be too long to begin with?
Yeah, it was
And-
already pinned its way too long. With
Oh, wait, maybe
yeah,
what was wrong
by
with it
today's
was just not
standards, I don't
long
think
enough.
By today's standards, it's not too long. It's like the same.
Ooh, it's on sale on the Arrow site right now.
Go get your
Dude,
Waterworld director's
buy
cut,
it,
people.
Toby, and share it with us. Watch it and then share it with everybody.
So there you go, people. Get your Waterworld cut, and we'll give you the review next time.
We mentioned
Waterworld
Waterworld,
original
Daredevil.
film.
Let's go for a third one.
And thank you all very much for listening to the Comic Conspiracy Podcast. I want to
Stay
thank our
tuned
high
next week
tier,
for the Waterworld.
our high tier Patreon backers: Joe Duff, Kelsey May, Craig Anderson at ClearPathCoaches.com, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast, and Talon Bray. Thank you all very much. Scott, thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Sorry you're late, but to go back and listen to the first part of the podcast, you can hear what we said.
You told
You
me I didn't
already
have
got
to.
it. You pretty much already
Yeah,
got
you
it.
If
The
you're
Comic
really
Conspiracy
bored,
Podcast can be found at comicconspiracypodcast.com and Apple Podcasts. You can find all our previous episodes there if you want to check them out. Head to patreon.com/comicconspiracy to kick us a couple bucks. Always appreciated. You can go to comicsconspiracy.biz to purchase books from us, comic books, graphic novels, toys, all sorts of stuff.
We do have Black Adam toys.
We do. And comics.
And comics.
Head over to conspiratobrock.com for Brock stuff. Head over to Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension podcast for Charlie's Doctor Who podcast, and I'm sure they got a lot of doctors to talk about. And the weekly interview series between the panels at fanbasepress.com. That is Kevin's weekly interview series with some big creators. And interviewed by Kane Vaughn recently, so check that out. And my wife Leanne is at leannehill.com, and her art is at etsy.com/shop/LeanneHillArt. You can buy stuff from her there.
Christmas is coming, guys.
It is.
Good stuff.
It is. If you're on Twitter, I don't know what Twitter is going to look like Friday.
What's going on Friday?
Fuck.
That apparently that's
the cutoff date for the Elon Musk buy.
Buy day.
It's like a buy day, so it's this one.
Yeah. We'll see if I'm on Twitter Saturday, but
they're going. If you're not on Twitter, they're going to lose one of their big users, right?
We're going to lose one of their one. Yeah. I tweet 3 to 4 times a week.
What?
That's not
bullshit. True. You tweet like 3 to 4 times in 5 minutes.
Straight lies.
That's Twitter's heavy users, according to a new report. Their heavy users have been in steady decline since 2021, and a heavy user is someone that tweets 3 to 4 times a week.
Dude, you tweet 3 to 4 times an hour.
Yeah,
an hour. A minute.
I tweet a little more than the heavy user. I tweet a little more than the heavy user. Ryan's
the cock at the store who will have a conversation with you. All of a sudden, stops listening to you and just starts swiping on Twitter. I'm
tweeting while talking to you. Yeah. Okay. And I'm generally telling Twitter how stupid the person I'm talking to is. Yeah. So there you go.
Oh, you missed a guy that called in on Sunday. Oh,
tell me off air so we don't insult the customer.
So bad.
No,
it was the
customer. Exactly. We're not going to insult anybody here.
It wasn't a customer.
Ryan Higgins Ryan. That is myself on Twitter for at least a few more days. Brock is Brock Sager. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity and Chaos. Kevin is that Kevin Sharp. The Store's Comics Gone Store. CS Shea. That's Scott. You don't use Twitter very much though. No. And you can check out the Geek Box podcast or Shaman and our good friends over at Manga Machinations. Go check those guys out. Okay, thank you very much. I have to go edit this because Scott joined late. That's fine.
And play some
Marvel
podcast
stuff tonight. No, I'm going to bed after I do this. So we're going to leave now. Goodbye, everyone.